Doo-doo-dee. It's Nandi!
Hello friends, Nandi here with a preview of the new patch. It's a big one, and the approach to this is going to be slightly different to previous patch analysis. Unfortunately, I don't have access to the usual test build that allows me to supply you all with gameplay footage. However, because of how highly anticipated this patch is, and the new characters, I've got a lot of character screenshots and things to share with you. As usual, the video is time-stamped and has chapter markings to guide your progress and allow you to focus on what you're interested in. The first big thing to touch on this patch is the release of 3 new Thousand Suns characters. These characters will be released by Aeldari campaign, more details on this later on. My usual lore guru, IGAP, is away this week, and filling his shoes is the capable Lodge Master Dylan of the World Eaters chapter in Pants of Horse. Dylan also hosts a podcast called the Heresy Lodge, where he does a weekly episode reviewing and previewing Warhammer 40k books. Check out the link in the video description if you want to hear more of his stuff.
The Thousand Suns. Speculated to the name from the thousand left alive from the flesh change when Magnus was discovered is a legion of psychers. Disturbed by the flesh change, Magnus made it his mission to find a cure to this terrible flaw in his son's gene code, which started the downfall of the Thousand Suns. In order to cure this flaw, Magnus had to make a deal with Tzeentch, the Chaos God of Change. And like all deals with the Chaos Gods, it comes with a cost that Magnus believed he would never pay back. This arrogance is now what we see the Thousand Suns today. Once amazing psychers turned into suits full of dust with souls bound to armor. What I expect to see from them in Tacticus, we're going to have psychers. I'm imagining a Rubric Marine, an Occult Terminator, a Yazaghor of some kind. There is a Purple Screamer, which is just a lesser demon of Tzeentch. Then I expect to see a legendary Armament. I can't imagine there being a better legendary character for them to bring out. And just like the Death Guard, I could see eventually a Demon Primarch Magnus as a guild raid.
Let's dive in and take a look at the Thousand Suns themselves. For each character, I will show you their skills, traits, and stats, and then again summarize things in my usual character infographic. The first thing to look at is Weaver of Fates, their faction trait. All of the Thousand Suns units have this trait. It says that whenever 3 or more enemy units have taken psychic damage, this unit will deal maximum possible damage. It's an important thing to keep in mind, especially as we have a look at the potential damage output and stats of the characters that are coming up. First up is Toth, a Scarab Occult Terminator. Toth's active is Hellfire Missile Rack. He does heavy round damage to a target within 3 hexes, and then an additional heavy damage hit to all enemies on the map that have received psychic damage this turn. His passive, Time Flux, allows him to heal each turn. It also allows him to respawn when defeated using the ghost mechanic described in the text box on screen. The only way to stop this is to occupy the hex that the ghost is in, thereby killing it. Toth has a movement of 2, and the items seen on screen are his loadout. Looking at Toth's infographic, you can see just how well he scales towards PvE content. He's among the best range damage dealers in the game, and also has a monstrous health and armor stat. He has a 5-hit Flamer ranged attack, allowing him to potentially benefit from commonly used guild raid characters like Eldryon. However, his movement of 2 is definitely intentional and seems a way to balance out a very powerful stat cascade. Next up, we have Abraxas. Abraxas has an active that allows him to summon a pink horror in an adjacent hex. Anytime an enemy takes psychic damage, he summons a further Screamer of Tzeentch. His passive is an aura that adds a psychic damage hit to adjacent chaos units and demons. In terms of equipment, he uses a weapon, block item, and crit booster. These next 3 slides show you the 3 summons that Abraxas brings to the table. You can see the Screamer with a melee power attack and an active similar to Athana. You can also see the pink horror that splits when defeated into 2 blue horrors. Feel free to pause the video if you want to have a look at these in more detail. On this character summary infographic, you can see that Abraxas tends towards the poorer end of stats. However, be mindful that both he and his summons benefit from the Weaver of Fate's trait, and in the right circumstances, he can set up a massive burst turn. Generally, I think that Abraxas looks like a PvP character. The final Thousand Suns character is Yazaghor, the Zangor. Yazaghor has an active called Sorceress Facade. He gives himself and a target allied psyker bonus damage till his next turn. He then attacks a nearby enemy and swaps positions with a targeted friendly psyker. This active potentially can set up some nice combinations with Abraxas and Abraxas's active, summoning summons all over the map, if I'm understanding the interaction correctly. His passive also gives him bonus damage based on the number of enemies that have been hit by psychic damage this turn. When that number of enemies is 3 or more, Zangor also gets bonus range and movement, taking his already impressive 4 movement to 5. On this summary infographic, however, we see just how poor his stats are, particularly from a defensive point of view. He is the bottom 20th centile for health and the bottom 14th centile for armor. Again, I think largely will be a PvP character. I think that the Thousand Suns are an interesting faction, and it's clear that they already have massive faction synergy. I really like the flavour that Snowprint have given them, and they really feel like a Psyker faction. So far, I think they're largely a PvP focused faction, which continues recent trends and hopefully bodes well to the game mode that we're all waiting for, War. Bear in mind that even though their stat centiles are generally on the lower end, there is potential for explosive damage potential with their faction trait, Weaver of Fates. The next thing I wanted to cover in this video is the new Forge crafting mechanic. This is where we will be allowed to trade up orbs at a ratio of 10 to 1. It will also cost you some gold and forge badges, but generally allows you to upgrade all of those idle orbs in your inventory into more useful stuff. Next, we can take a look at the new shop that is coming to the game, the Rogue Trader Shop. Here we will be given access to a new currency in the game called the Archeotech. This currency is available at a 1-to-1 ratio for excess character shards once a character has reached Blue Star. It can be used in the new shop pictured on screen to buy the goods pictured. Now, I'll caveat this picture with the fact that prices are subject to change. However, what I have been told is that there will be 6 slots in the shop, as you can see, and there will be no free refreshes with ads. The top left slot will always be Azrael, and the other 2 top row slots will always be character shards. The bottom left will always be a legendary item, the bottom middle will always be a crafting slot like forge badges or scrap, and the bottom right is always a legendary tome. There will also be daily cash offers like the main shop, and an opportunity to earn a new character portrait and daily requisitions with the high-end offer you can see on sale. There will also be premium items available nowhere else in the game, such as the new Heavenfall Blade, a 40% crit chance weapon that the Dark Angels will use, and hopefully one day that Snowprint will allow the Tau to use as well. That's all I've got for you. I'm sorry if this video was a little bit rushed and not as polished as my usual videos, but I was keen to have something for you all to peruse as soon as the patch launches. Please let me know what your thoughts are in the comments section below, and as always, if you are in the position to support me and my work, I'd really love if you could consider using my Refer a Friend code as you can see on screen. Finally, the Pants of Horus cluster are looking to fill out their final few slots, and if you're a member looking for a new guild, please feel free to reach out to us via Discord link below. Bye now.
Doo-doo-dee. It's Nandi.